I'm going to start off with Tafara Mtiro, who is our junior MP. Our question is, as a child and representative of children in Parliament, tell us some of your lived experiences in terms of the fulfillment of your rights in the digital environment. And please be free to highlight on both the good and the bad.
Salutations of the day to you all. Thank you very much, sir. I think for us to further broadify this topic, we need to understand the key terms. So I would start basically by defining the meaning of rights, child, and digital. So in my own understanding, rights are fundamental benefits or privileges to entitlement. A child, in accordance to the Zimbabwean Constitution on Chapter 4, Part 3, Subsection 81, Paragraph number 1, is any individual under the age of 18. Digital refers to our technological surrounding, and that's for environment, which is our surrounding. So when we talk about the rights of a child in the digital environment, we are talking about benefits given to individuals under the age of 18 towards the technological surrounding. So I think this comes in two aspects. We have learners who have access to the digital environment. These are those which are maybe in the elite areas, such as in the major skirts of Harare. And we have those that don't have access to the digital environment. So I think the way their rights are deprived in these ways are kind of different. Because we look at it, those that have access to the digital environment, let's say, for example, those here in Harare, we see that they are prone to cyberbullying, sextortion, because they have access to the digital environment. But then we must not overlook the fact that there are those in rural areas who don't have access to this digital environment. So their rights to accessibility is actually being demolished.
Wow, impressive. And I think we've been aptly answered by Honorable Tafara Mtiro. Very, very deep answer. Thank you very much for that. To you, Christabel Baera, who is the junior councillor. In your work as a councillor and interaction with children in communities, what are some of the challenges being faced by children in the digital environment?
Okay, thank you so much. Good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, in my own experience, I've noticed that many children have access to digital gadgets, but not all of them. In my own word, there is access to digital gadgets, as I said. So, in those access, they are getting explicit videos, and they are being exposed to something that is not supposed to be with them. And as Honorable Minister said, these needs rights as children. We need rights to protect privacy and to protect their own identity. So, in my experience, we have experienced that children mostly are getting most exposed to some things that are not supposed to them to see. And as the President said, we are in a fight of drug and substance abuse that we are fighting right now. So we have noticed that those drugs and substance abuse, they are being encouraged by the social media. They are watching, and that's something that needs to be protected. We see children at the age of 13 getting into, they call it matures. Where are they getting it? They're getting it on social media. But also, social media, those social media, they're influencing them. America. Obviously, that's something that is not supposed to be happening. So we need those rights to protect them. I thank you.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for that answer. Definitely we have a challenge. The children are exposed, but without proper guidance or restraint or any form of training. Over to you, Dr. Olivia. As a parent and author of the book titled Parenting Children of Influence in the Digital Age, what have been your experiences around parenting in the digital environment? What are some of the prevailing expectations, realities, as well as challenges?
All right, thank you very much, everyone, and good morning. For me, as a parent of children who who are born in the Generation Z and Alpha. I have two sons who are in the Generation Z and the other one in the Generation Alpha. What I have realized is that these are Zoomers. They are experts in the social media. They have technology at their doorsteps. And the way they interact with the social media or with the gadgets is totally different from me or from most of us as parents who were born maybe in the millenniums or Generation X, where we were in an undigitized world. So what I discovered from my own experience is that my sons, they are very inquisitive. They are living in a fast world where they can access anything on internet just by clicking a button. So they have solutions, fast solutions to any problem that they face, and to anything that they want to get, they just go on the internet and they get it so fast. I have also realized that they are defined by social media. They are not defined by themselves or by the word of God, the way in which we were raised. So they are defined by social media. Why I'm saying so is they look at the likes as endorsement that they are cool or they are good. And if they get less likes, they feel they are not yet there, or it also impacts on their self-esteem, it impacts on their self-confidence. And they are also exposed to many beliefs and facts. And by that, it means they are very difficult to be kept in one religion. They move from one religion to the other because they have facts exposed to themselves. So that is what I have experienced. And it really pushed me as a parent who was born in Generation X to say, how can I understand these children in order for me to be closer to them, to raise them in a godly manner, while they are also enjoying their life to the fullest, not restricting them. They should enjoy their life to the fullest, but in a protected manner. But how do I do it is I need to understand them, rather than to say these children of today, they are always on social media and then I reprimand them. But I need to understand, what are they doing on social media? Who are they meeting? Because sometimes if you don't know, you'll be shocked at what your children are entertaining in their own bedrooms. Maybe it's some of the people whom you don't even invite in your yard. So you need to understand them. You need to walk with them. You need to be a present parent and also to understand what is going on. And then the last thing is to also give them the do's and don'ts on social media. That is what I have experienced because of some of the issues that have been raised by our junior parliamentarians. So for me, when you give them the do's, at least they would know where to go. And if they face any challenges like grooming, where an adult is grooming a child, they can talk to you because they trust you. But if you continuously tell them that you people of today, we don't understand, you are always on gadgets and all that, when they face those things, they don't tell you. They just mind their own business, and sometimes they can be exposed to dangerous things, and they can be addicted to dangerous sites like pornography or flirting or gambling and all that. So that has been my experience, and it is the one that really pushed me to write the book, as you were saying, like parenting children of influence in the digital age, in order for every parent to long to understand these children, accommodate them, parent them to be children of influence, and for them to live the fullest of their life in a godly manner. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. Round of applause for that. Thank you very much. So parents need to, keep watch and pay attention to who your kids are watching and following. But if they are watching Bamni Nijo, they are safe. You don't have to stop them. It's okay. We have do you have a representative from the Internet Society of Zimbabwe? Thank you. Okay. So the question to you is, what are some of the initiatives being undertaken by the Internet Society of Zimbabwe? And also the challenges that you have seen communities, particularly children, face in the use of the internet.
Thank you. Greetings to you all. Greetings to my fellow colleagues, the learners. When I grew up, we were pupils and students. They are now learners. There's some respect in being a learner nowadays. My name is Rangarirai Mangundu, and I'm here representing the Internet Society Zimbabwe chapter. I'm a student and proud to be here. A brief about my story. I'm physically challenged from an electrical accident that happened 10, 11 years ago. And I've used access to the internet to get 2 degrees after the accident. So there are 2 sides of a coin by accessing the internet. There's the good, then there's the bad. In Shona they say, Akuna dibare moru. There is no deep tank for calves. The global village that we are now living, Mkomaniju, everyone is to be able to swim. If the child cannot swim, then we are going to have a generation that will be destroyed by access to the internet. So, in terms of initiatives, in terms of challenges that we face, I hear Potras is here as the regulator. In 2021, we embarked on an initiative to teach young persons with disabilities on digital skills that can actually help them to navigate through the digital economy. Mazvano, if you do not sell online, if you do not, everything that we do revolves around the use of the internet. And we particularly identified an underserved community which constitutes of persons with disabilities. We did a pilot project with Leonard Cheshire and the other home. I can't remember the name. With limited funds, that was our challenge. We couldn't reach as far. We did a pilot project just in Harare. Then, this year, I'm proud to say that we've embarked on a partnership with Potras to teach persons with disabilities, young persons in school, around the country, around the provinces, to be able to have those basic skills. Just an example, Google has parental control. You can create an account for your child. You notify them that this person is under age of 18. You control. But if you are not aware as a parent, then the access is restricted. We are here as the Internet Society Zimbabwe chapter to make sure that parents are educated, the young persons themselves know. So we partake in policy and advocacy issues, research and training, largely awareness campaigns. So I believe, like what was said before, we're going to embark on partnerships from this meeting and try to reach the ends of the country and beyond, and make sure that the internet is safer. Make sure that Kelvin will reach the stars wherever he wants to reach in terms of education. The potential must not be limited because of his disability or his condition. I believe that the young people have a chance. I believe that we can use the internet as a force of good. At the Internet Society, Mkomanijo, we say we connect the unconnected, and the children are unconnected. 3 out of 4 rural schools in Zimbabwe are not yet connected to the internet. They are still safe because they have no access to the pornographic material. But we cannot stop the train. It's moving too fast. Yeah. So I want to rest my case now. We do trainings, but we have not reached every corner. We need partnerships. We need the bishop to spread the word of God, to make sure that the technology is used as a force of good. We are going to challenge the policymakers to make sure that when I go into Econet, Teleso, and Net1 to buy my SIM card, it's registered by the adult, but we notify them that this is going to be used by a child, so that naturally all the data traffic from that SIM card is regulated. I rest my case for now.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. A round of applause. I think that was very, very insightful. Now, from the ZNCWC, as a civil society organizations that are working to advance the rights of children in Zimbabwe, please share your experiences around the changes that have been taking place in advancing children's rights in a digital environment.
Thank you. I am Reverend Taylor Nyaneti. I am the director for Zimbabwe National Council for the Welfare of Children, and I'm excited that we're part of the team that caused the Parliamentary Caucus on Children's Rights. And I'm happy that Dr. Nyashanu, Honorable Gones, and other members of Parliament here present were able to form a formidable team that is advancing children's rights in Parliament. And my hope is that even after the elections, this caucus will continue its life, because it's an important structure within Parliament. So that's some of the work. I'm just sharing some of the work that we have done. And also coming back, we've also been part of surveys to check online safety for children. We've worked with UNICEF, we've worked with Save the Children, and we've discovered that a lot of parents are not aware the extent children are using their lines to access information online. So one of the challenges with our parents today is that, yes, children need to access information online, but parents are not aware to what extent children are doing that. In other words, children are more advanced currently than their parents. They can access the internet, delete what they've accessed, and the parent will never know. So I'm happy when he mentioned that it's also possible to indicate when you buy a line to say this line will be used by my child, so that safety features can be put on the line to protect the child. So that's one issue that I think can go a long way to address. But I also want to appeal to parents here and even outside here to say, let's ensure that we are present physically in our children's life. Yes, we're in a digital environment, but nothing will ever replace your presence in your child's life. Child development means you need to be present physically. Not let the internet do the work that you're supposed to do. A child will also learn from you by your presence. And by presence, you have to accompany, or you need to move with a child so that they can learn some of the tricks of life from you as an adult. So it's just an appeal. I know a lot of parents today have busy schedules, but spend quality time with your child and they will learn the right or positive elements about you as a parent. So that's an appeal. And as an organization, we will continue to promote some of the themes that come out every year on the Day of the African Child. We do contribute. And this year, we did contribute to this particular topic, which has been adopted by the African Union, because we are aware that the digital environment is playing an important role. Remember, this is coming after COVID. COVID has revealed that children's learning can be enhanced by the digital environment, and it did for a lot of children. Yes, some were not reached, but during COVID, that's when we learned that a lot of children were able to access knowledge through the digital environment, hence this particular theme. So that's some of the work that we do. But we also are very clear that parents are lagging behind, and I think we would want to direct some of our programming to parents so that they do the catch-up in terms of digital knowledge. They are lagging behind, and that is a problem within our society. I think I can stop here for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rev. We appreciate that. Yes, we can give him a round of applause, encouraging parents to be physically present and not just to raise your children online, on WhatsApp, say, make sure that you are also there to lead them in the right way. Do you have a representative from Portras? All right, not yet here. Honorable Innocent Gonese, the question directed to you is, are there any pieces of legislation in Parliament that are in place to protect and to promote the rights of children in this digital environment?
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to begin by saying that I'm very delighted to be here, to be interacting with young people. You always feel young again when you are meeting the Generation Z and so on. And also a special mention to our Obamnini Joe, and I also know him as the Slick Pastor. In spite of my age, I sometimes watch some of your skits. But more importantly, before I go into what we've done as a parliament, I just want to say that we are called baby boomers. I'm not sure why. But when you look at what has been happening now, when you look at our children, when you look at the Generation Z, you will find that they will have access. They will be able to use gadgets. I will give the example of my youngest daughter. Even when we used to buy our cell phones for her, she would not even need to use the manual. She would be able actually to program it without the use of a manual. So you can see how advanced they are. So at the end of the day, I think it is very important. I think the other panelists have already mentioned the importance of having, mechanisms put in place to ensure that our children are protected. And that is where I think we are lacking. But I'll go to that later. First, I just want to say that as Parliament, we enacted the Cyber and Data Protection Act. I think it was in 2021. And in many ways, it is very helpful. It has created certain offenses. It has actually made provisions to ensure that children are protected from sexual exploitation. For example, child pornography is specifically criminalized. We have provisions in that act which enact certain offenses ranging between 5 and 10 years, or fines between level 10 and level 14, which is quite high. But I think that having passed those pieces of legislation, our problem really is more to do with the lack of implementation, also the lack of sensitization of the general populace. Because if you look at the majority of the people in Zimbabwe, they are not aware of the passing of this act, the passing of this piece of legislation. So while the act has got provisions which are very, in fact, which protect, all those who are exposed. The children will be protected in the sense that if an adult is involved in terms of, trying to promote child pornography, that person can be prosecuted and sentenced to heavy fines. But the problem is how to detect this level of abuse. I think this is where we need to go a step further to ensure that what we have in terms of the legal provisions can actually be enforced. And I also want to say that as Parliament, we were supposed to have dealt with the issue of the age of consent to sexual intercourse. It's something which was flagged by our constitutional court. And as Parliament, we were given an obligation to ensure that within 12 months of the handing down of the judgment in question, that we would do it. Unfortunately, we missed a great opportunity when the bill which was gazetted in Parliament recently, when it was gazetted, this provision was not included. And as members of Parliament from the Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, when we conducted the public hearings, we got representations that the age of consent should actually be raised, so that those between the ages of 16 and 18, they are actually still children in terms of the law. But in terms of consent to sexual intercourse, they can engage. So I think that is another opportunity which we missed, but which I believe that the next Parliament, which will come into being after the 23rd of August, is going to deal with. But in terms of what legislators have done, yes, we flagged a lot of these issues, but sometimes the executive, which is responsible for the formulation of some of the bills, has not been playing ball. And so this is where we need civil society, where we need the people who are going to be affected. And I'm happy that we've got the Children's Parliament. And we now need to have better rapport, better interaction between the two parliaments, the junior parliament and the senior parliament, so that some of these issues, which are very topical, which are very critical, see the light of day. Because when we are looking at the age gap, the differences between the junior parliament and the senior parliament, the members of the senior parliament may not be aware of some of these issues, which is partly the reason why the formation of the Children's Rights Caucus is a breath of fresh air, because it is going to bridge this gap to ensure that some of these very pertinent issues can be better dealt with. I think for now I'll rest my case.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Now, lastly, in the first round of questions, we are going to hear from Honorable Dr. Matthew Nyashanu, who, like we said earlier, is also the current chairperson of the Child Rights Caucus in Parliament, as well as the chairperson of the Budget Committee. We wanted to find out, what is the role of Parliament in promoting and protecting the rights of children in this digital environment? What role does the Parliament play?
Thank you, and thank you so much for the invitation. We don't take this very lightly. We think you have managed to work with us as Parliament for this long time, building, the good ground for our children to be able to survive in a good environment. I think Parliament is an area of political power. And as we are all aware, there is a high concentration of power in Parliament, political power in Parliament, which power can be used for the betterment of children's rights. Different political formations in Parliament with different views, but we decided to come together through a parliamentary caucus to share, best practices on what it is that can be done to uplift the welfare of children. Parliament, through Section 117 of the Constitution, which speaks to the nature and extent of its legislative authority, is able to make laws that are good for the welfare of children. As Honorable Gones has just said, we have just passed the Cyber and Data Protection Act, which is also vital in the protection of children's rights in a digital world. But not only did we pass the Cyber and Data Protection Act, Parliament has also gone further to look at the guardianship of minors, the Child Amendment Bill, the Child Justice Bill, all in an effort to ensure that the rights of children are protected. The government of Zimbabwe, I should simply say, has done a lot in ensuring the protection, the fulfillment, the promotion of the children's rights. I was in Rwanda 2 weeks ago, also in an effort to try and learn what they are doing in the area of child rights. In my assessment, I realized that the government of Zimbabwe is well ahead in the protection of children's rights. I think our government must be applauded for having taken such bold steps in ensuring that the rampant abuse of children in the country is somehow, although not eliminated, but somehow reduced. We have a role as members of parliament to represent people, and with that representation role, we felt as members of parliament, of like-minded, to come together to work in a parliamentary caucus, which I chair, to try and revisit certain areas where we felt children's rights were lagging behind. And I think we have been voicing over the period of 5 years in Parliament to ensure that such areas are rectified. We also have a role as members of Parliament, which is the oversight role. We have been engaging members, the executive, particularly ministers, as you are aware that the children's rights, those who implement areas of children's rights, like education, health, they are scattered all over government. So we have been trying to engage respective ministries to ensure that the rights of children are realized. We also have another role as members of parliament, which is the budget making process, where I'm also the chairman of Budget, Finance and Economic Development in Parliament of Zimbabwe as of now. And what we have done has been to ensure that at every budget making process, we involve children. So children have been involved in the budget making process. I'll give you an example. In the last 2 years, we have been inviting children to be part of the budget conference, and they've been making their own representations at the budget conference. Last year, when we attended the budget conference at Rainbow Towers, there was a children's representation to make their own representation at the budget conference. These are the efforts that we have been trying to make. For those who might have been able to watch television, last 2 years, there was a program which I carried out with Natasha in Buhera, where we met children during the period of COVID, and I think it was a 40 minutes program on national television, trying to understand their challenges in view of COVID, how they access education in a remote area, and what they view as the solution to those problems. And I think that program was quite enlightening, and a lot of children across the country also had access to that program. And many parents also had access to that program, so they were able to appraise or to appreciate the problems that are being faced by our children. So yes, the theme is quite relevant on celebrating the Day of the African Child, that we have to realize that there are so many children in the countryside, those in rural areas, in poor communities, who are failing to access education, particularly in period of crisis like COVID. We need to do something through the budget. We need to do something through our national budget to allocate resources for children in communities to access the internet. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause for our panelists. They are still here. Let's just clap our hands for them.